Good afternoon to you. It is Tuesday, March 12th. I just realized I just drank out of a cup that I had something else in. I had coffee in it. Didn't rinse it out, just put some ice and water in it. Doesn't taste very good. I hope you're doing well. Hope your day is going well. This is going to be hopefully a relatively quick post. I just wanted to react to the haul of awards that your Boilermakers just brought in. This is pretty big news because I'm a little shocked at the sheer amount of awards that these Boilermakers received. If you haven't seen it, if you haven't been on Twitter, sit down. Enjoy the show. It's going to be good. It's a lot of fun. This is Purdue is really reaping the benefits of having such a dominant season. Many of you thought, whatever you want to say, sure, Zach Edey's going to do his thing. He's going to be Player of the Year. Well, sure enough, Zach Edey is Player of the Year. You thought, hey, he'll probably make Defensive Team of the Year. Defensive Team. Yep, he did. He was all conference, too. And you thought maybe Braden Smith would be all conference because a lot of media on BTN and other places have been talking about Braden Smith has earned his spot. Well, he did, too. So Braden Smith, Zach Edey, all Big Ten. That's great. Next, Mason Gillis. Mason Gillis, a guy that you thought, hey, he deserves a six-man award. Darn right he does. And guess what? He gets the six-man award. So this is both media and coaches. Both media and coaches. I think everything I say here is accurate for both of those. Starts getting interesting after that. Next one is really, really cool. Honorable mention. To me, it's a big list for the Big Ten. That honorable mention is kind of the catch-all of guys that almost made the first, second, and third teams. Okay, so, but the cool thing to me is that some guys that struggled at times but were really important to Purdue still got some commendation, and they deserved it. Lance Jones and Fletch Lawyer both make honorable mention. That's pretty huge. It's pretty great. Now we get into the really interesting parts. First one is the Howard Moore Assistant Coach of the Year. And this one gets me big time because I think he's been so darn important to the program. Brandon Brantley gets the Howard Moore Assistant Coach of the Year. If you don't know this, Howard Moore was the Wisconsin coach and former player that passed away a couple years ago. Very fitting for Brantley to get the award because he's been so important to the program, so revolutionary for Purdue's big men. He has helped define what Matt Painter wants to see out of the program. Great to see, simply great to see Brantley get this just because he has been such a great team guy for the program. And then finally, Matt Painter, co-Big Ten Coach of the Year. So he and Fred Hoiberg, I think, got it in both of the polls, both the coaches and, let me make sure, both coaches and media. They both were I don't know how that happens. It seems a little silly to me. It must be some sort of composite way of doing it. But Hoiberg and Painter both get it. I pled, if you will, for Painter to get that award, not only during the Handsome Hour basketball beat, but also in the post game, I think. After the Wisconsin game, just because it's so hard to come through and do what you're supposed to do. Purdue's very good. They were highly rated. They were coming off immense pressure after the FDU fizzle last year. Worse than a fizzle, thud, fall off a cliff, whatever you want to call it. We can admit it. We can say it's real. But what Matt Painter did, what Brandon Brantley did, what Zach Edey did, what Braden Smith did, what Fletcher Lawyer did, what Lance Jones did, what Trey Kaufman-Renn did, what Ethan Morton did, what Caleb First did, what Cam Heidi did, what let's see if I can get them all done. What Colvin did. I hope I got all of them there. I think I'm close. If I didn't, I apologize to any of the parents of the players who are watching. I think this award is indicative, and Painter would say this is indicative of a bunch of guys, a team, a composite, earning awards for individuals. It's an incredible, incredible haul. I don't ever remember this, and some of you guys maybe in the comments, I don't think there's a lot of people on live. It's unusual time, completely unplanned. I can't remember Purdue dominating the awards like this. I cannot. And to me, this is absolutely best case scenario. and it's incredible to see. It's great to see. So a couple of you are on live. I'm going to read a little bit of comments. Nita Beanverse says, we're spoiled. What's up, down? Yep, I think it's a very, very good first comment. Purdue fans are spoiled. The young people among us, LBD, for instance, LBD is 18, and he only knows a world where Purdue's really good. He doesn't remember when Purdue had those couple seasons at the bottom of the conference. He doesn't remember the transition between Katie and Painter. He remembers Purdue being really good. Baby Boilers are probably the first team he really remembers. And I don't know. I don't think he remembers that really all that well. He's too young. He's a little guy then. But on top of that, the next thing, being really good and then being dominant are a very different thing. And Purdue was absolutely dominant this season, has been so far before the Big Ten tournament starts. I know last night some of you guys got a little bit upset because Anish, Jay, and I didn't talk enough about the Big Ten tournament. We don't see the Big Ten tournament as that much of an importance this year. Sure, if Purdue's playing in something, I want them to win. And I don't think any of us should be superstitious, so we think, well, they better lose another one because they've only won 9 in a row tops this year. And that's true. Their longest winning streak of the year is 9. I think they're on a winning streak right now of 5, something like that. Obviously, they'd have to win a lot more than 9 to do what many of us as Purdue fans want to see them do in the NCAA tournament. They don't need a loss unless... like I said, I think it's okay for them to have a loss, sharpen up a little bit. But I don't see any reason to throw the damn thing. And I know many Purdue fans are like, bench everybody. Anish talked about it. It'd be kind of fun to see Purdue take this as secondary as some of us do. But we'd also be shocked at the same time if they did it. If you said, yeah, we're not going to play. We're not going to play Edey. We're not going to play Smith. Their ankles are bum. First, we'd probably be a little scared, right? We'd say, okay, those ankle injuries were a lot worse than we thought, when they're in actuality not that bad. Easy for me to say. I didn't roll my ankle. I have rolled my ankle like that, by the way, like they both did. I had really bad ankles in college and high school, so I empathize. That's one of those, watching those injuries with Smith and Edey during the Wisconsin game bothered me a lot. Like, actually made me sick at my stomach. I could feel it. But Purdue needs those guys. They need them healthy. So Ted Berkey says, boiler up, 2 outputs in 24 hours. Yeah, content. That's what we love to do. Boiler Man, just a bunch of trophies. Boiler Bugle, 2 days in a row. Good to see you, Dowd. Same to you. I thought I'd throw something up here quickly. Ted Berkey again says, surprise for Lance and Fletch. Didn't get at least third team. I don't know. If you, they played great. The problem they both have is they went through, like I called them a swoon last night, right? They went through parts of the season where they weren't playing great. They both were super important to Purdue. I'm pretty happy with what they got. I hope they are too. Or actually, I hope they're not. I hope they've got a chip on their shoulder and like, yeah, damn right, I earned that third team. Pardon me, allergy season. So I can understand the debate, but I also think those first, second, third teams are just chock full of talent. Ben Cotton says coaches voted Boiler Dowd first team all handsome. Wow, I didn't see that article. Thank you, Ben, for pointing it out to me. Media put him on the second team because they're jealous. Yeah, well, that second part, the latter of that comment, understandable, right? So appreciate that, Ben. Jay says all regular season greatness. What can we do in March, though? Okay. So you think I shouldn't have talked about this. Is that right, Jay? I just want to make sure. I want to get everything run by you first. This is absolutely something Purdue fans should enjoy and should talk about. This is pretty cool. Is this a replacement for winning in March? No. Is March the only thing that counts? No, it's not. I had a good conversation with my dad about this today, how things have shifted in his lifetime, how he remembers there was a time where it wasn't like it is today, where everything goes through the prism of postseason and March and the NCAA tournament. And I know it's not even that long ago. It's during my lifetime probably that the switch, the national championship became, and the dance going to the Final Four became paramount. The measuring stick that everything else falls to. And while I agree, because I'm a son of that era, I agree that it sucks that Purdue hasn't gone to a Final Four. I will also not do what you're talking about and minimize the things that Purdue's done this season. Sorry. Let's see. No, not sorry. Not sorry. I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry about that. I don't think Purdue fans should poo-poo this or throw it away because they lost to Fairleigh Dickinson last year. I don't think they should. Because I think there's a grander scheme in things here, and it shows a philosophy in life. Like I said, enjoy the things you have. I want Purdue to win every effing game they play in. I want them to go to the Final Four. I want them to win a national title. But I also find great value in this. Consistency matters in life. Consistency matters for this team, and they've been extremely consistent during the regular season. It's worth talking about. Brian T says, proud to be a Boiler. These players and coaches are helping Purdue get respect that the program absolutely deserves. Cheers. Boiler Bugle says, just looking for at the list of Big Ten website, Chase Martin got the Sportsmanship Award. And if you know, that's awesome. I didn't see that. Dag nabbit. Thank you for bringing it up. This is why I love the comments. You guys do the homework that I don't. Chase Martin's a really good dude. And just like his dad, he's a man of strong faith. It's one of his guiding lights in his life. And he lives out the way he talks. Every account of Chase Martin is this is a good kid. And if you haven't seen it, Konzo has a podcast. It's popping up now on my YouTube feed, which is great. I got to watch him just interact as father-son. There's some funny things there because I can totally see Chase talking to his dad like my son talks to me, kind of, oh, here we go. I've heard this before from my dad, and so that was entertaining. Ancient Astronaut, well, let's go. Boiler Bugle says, Katie earns, yeah, this is good. This is really good. Good. I'm not even going to look yet. So, Katie earns 7. Coach of the Year, Big Ten Coach of the Year. Bob Knight, 5. This is Painter's 5th. My daughter talked about, well, he's so calm. Painter's so calm, she said. My daughter's 14. She said, she's TBD, by the way. She said, Painter's so calm. That's why I won the award. I said, well, the funny thing is about the guy he just tied, Knight, and the guy that's in front of him, Katie, they did it a lot different. They had a lot of fire in their style of coaching. And Painter doesn't have that. And I've been hard on him at times. I think it's important to let the refs know sometimes that you're there. Let them know, let your team know that you've got their back in the battle. But it's not Painter's way. Painter, I think his philosophy is you're going to attract more, bees with sweetness, with honey, than you will vinegar. I butchered that. But it really doesn't matter. All those guys can coach. And it shows. Their record shows it. I talked about how close Painter is to Katie in the all-time wins for Purdue on Twitter. If you didn't see that, I can remind everybody out there, if he wins 69% of his games for the next 3 years, okay, and that's his career average at Purdue, 69% wins, he will pass Painter, or he pass Katie. Painter will pass Katie right around senior night in 27, I think. No, 24, 25. I think it is 2027. It's not far off at all. And if he goes a little bit quicker, which I think there's a good possibility of, look at about mid-season of 26, 27. That's kind of cool stuff. I think Jay would like me not to talk about that. I don't know what his comment down here, but he doesn't want to talk about wins. He just wants to talk about tournament. He's not alone, by the way. He's not alone, but I just think it should be celebrated a little bit. Ancient Astronaut says, hammer down. Brian T says, Chase Martin seems to be a chip off the old block. Class act. If you haven't watched Konzo's podcast, you should. Agreed. Nate Hartman, how you been? Long time no talkie. Nice to be spoiled. Word. Ancient Astronaut again says, loving those clear frames, looking real nice. Thank you. I've got a lot of glasses because girls got to accessorize. Ancient Astronaut says, S.A. Wood says, stacking regular season awards, championships should be part of the process. The NCAA tournament isn't here yet. Enjoy what's been done. Awards will be in the awards so far, yeah. And stacking these things to me, hopefully, I mean, and I know, Jay, I don't know you. I don't know who you are. But I do know most Purdue fans that are well-intentioned in this idea that they just want to see Purdue take the next step. Everybody does. There isn't a Purdue fan out there that's saying, I'm content. I literally don't know, and I took a little straw poll. I talked to a couple of my friends, different ages, Purdue fans, and asked them, how do you feel about the tournament? How do you feel about the team? Purdue fans feel like there's a lot of reason to believe, a lot of reason to think things are different. So there are some formulas we look at the NCAA tournament every year. Number one is coach success in the NCAA tournament. You don't have to go that far back to when it was Matt Painter's standard to go to a Sweet 16. And we were all talking about running into the ceiling above Painter's head of the Sweet 16. Of course, the Boogie Edwards team got to the Final Eight. So now you say, okay, can they get to the next step? And they've regressed for a couple years in the tournament. I'm well aware of all that. I'm well aware of it. But I do think Painter's a pretty good coach overall in the tournament. Generally, in his career, he's played to seed. You play to seed number one, you get to the Final Four, right? That's a tall order, though. It's a tough thing to do. The next part of winning in the tournament, obviously, you need guys that are consistent, and you need really good guard play. Specifically, you need really good point guard play, and typically a freshman point guard doesn't take many teams to a Final Four, to a championship. This year, Purdue has drastically improved there. Obviously, Braden Smith has earned commendation because of that, and Fletch Lawyer and Jones have shown they're much different. They keep shooting. Gillis keeps shooting this year. He doesn't go into pump fake mode generally. We'll see what happens on the road. He talked about the magic that is Mackey Arena and how much different he plays there because of his motivation of playing for the fans. Watch the video from senior night if you haven't gotten to see the good one with clear audio, because if you watch some of the things that were put out by Purdue on senior night, it's not quite as good as just watching that. When the players are talking about these guys, what they meant to the program and to them, and then the players talking about the program, I would say watch that. If you really, really are into the human side of sports, watch it. It's well worth it. Jay says, would say starters don't need to play 40 minutes, win or lose, though Big Ten tournament is not that important compared to Big Dance. There, you and I, Jay, completely in line on this. Completely agree. I just don't, especially when you've won the conference, when you've won the regular season conference, it is an extremely difficult task to do what Purdue just did. To do it 2 years in a row. Ridiculous, absurd. It doesn't happen very often. To win by 3 games, 2 straight years, outright Big Ten titles, incredible feat. The tournament, I'm not that impressed by it. I've never liked it. It's never been my thing. Conference tournament has it. Because and the reason is, and I've said this to you guys before, if you haven't been listening, it's okay. It's okay. The tournament has not helped Purdue. When Purdue's done well in the tournament, they've gotten the same seed everybody's prognosticating. When they did poorly, they still got the same seed. When they won the Big Ten title versus Ohio State, back when the Baby Boilers were there and Kramer and Grant were there, everybody thought they'd be a 4 seed. They still got the 4 seed. And part of that is because the Big Ten tournament, they don't really care about it either, right? They have it butt up right against the selection show. So the committee, I know they do all these different scenarios, but they don't even care about this thing. By the time whoever gets to the championship, generally it's not a team that's playing in. I'd love to see a team like Ohio State steal a bid from Michigan State, even within the conference. Ohio State to go on a mini run. I don't want to see them go on a run in expense of Purdue, obviously. But there haven't been many of those. I can think of like one. Michigan did it a couple years ago, right? And they played themselves into 8 or 9 seed in the NCAA tournament, if I'm remembering correctly. That's the one I always think of. But anyway, Midwest Toke says ratio of 3 sorrows versus 27 joys. Seems like a lot more joy than sorrow. Very poetic, talking about the record, and I think it's actually 28-3, right? 28 joys, 3 sorrows. And I would argue not all those sorrows were all that sorrowful. I think a lot of you were with me when you're feeling maybe a little sarcastic, a little punchy after some of those games. And in the grand scheme of things, and now that we look back through the whole, since we know the way the season goes, we can say, okay, those weren't the end of the world. And like I said, I think I figured out why Purdue loses to mediocre teams and why they beat good teams. If you didn't hear me say that, go back, watch the Handsome Hour, because it's, I think it's true. You can tell what you think about the theory. But let's see. Jay Westfall says, reckon there will be an outreach to try to get Rick Mount in the house for the game. Zach should set the scoring record. So that would be, what did I say, 2 games, right? So if Purdue wins their first game in the tournament, the second one would be where Zach, because he has to average, 20 and a half, I think is what I thought, because I think is that right? 42 points, 21 and a half to pass him. And he's been on a tear. He's been ridiculously consistent. He's been a microcosm of this team. He's actually been better than this team because he's so consistent. He's so good. And so he should pass Mount in that second game if he plays at his average. So that'd be pretty special. I don't know if Mount's all down with that. From what I understand about Rick Mount, when I've met him, it's been a long time. He doesn't seem like a guy who loves doing stuff like that. He's not a big media guy either. So we'll see. Hopefully he's there in Minneapolis. It's a long way to go for a guy that's a homebody, from what I understand. Again, Jacob Foster says, agreed. Give some other guys longer leashes. See what happens. Might even pay dividends in the big dance. See guys play in the tournament. Ted Berkey says the Big Ten tournament is great when we win. Otherwise, it doesn't matter. Okay, so I'm just gonna. My dad used to have a saying where you can't choose the rules. You got to play by them. So sometimes you just got to say, let's take the whole thing. And Anisha's idea, it's awesome. Next year, the Big Ten tournament. If you don't know this, because of the expansion of the conference, 4 teams will not be invited to the tournament. And those are obviously the worst 4 teams, which stinks because those teams need the tournament more than anybody else. So Anisha's idea is great. You say the top 4, they don't have to go to the tournament. So you don't even invite the top 4. I would love that. Honestly, I'd love it. Give those guys a little bit extra rest, a little time to practice, and let the bottom teams go ahead and try to earn their way into the tournament. Why the hell not? I think that'd be a lot of fun. And the other thing that does is it gives that 5th place team the ability to say, yeah, we got a championship. We are in a tournament championship. Already, I think most basketball fans, and I might be wrong about this because my perception could blind reality, but I think most college basketball fans see the regular season title as much more important than the tournament title. They're still titles. They both have banners. I mean, in every school, by the way, that's not just Purdue. If you win a Big Ten title, you win a tournament title, it goes up in the rafters. So, yeah. But if 15 of 18 will make the tournament, 3 will miss it. 3, not 4. Okay. So, I'm brave new world ahead. We all know that. So that's about it. It's been 22 minutes. That's a QuickCast, and that's like a real one. That's not like the newfangled QuickCast where I take 40 minutes. So we'll almost got it in under 20 minutes. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. Thanks to Jay for, and like I said, I don't know who Jay is, but I appreciate the Discord. I think it's good to talk. I think it's good to talk things out. I think it's okay to disagree, but I do disagree that we should look ahead and not talk about regular season accomplishments just because Purdue has not been great in the tournament. I think I made myself clear. Jay, you can also talk on Twitter, or you can talk in the comments, whatever you'd like. God bless you. Hammer down. Ken, we're cheering for you. We'll talk to you soon. See ya.